Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel, and it's only a few days since I made my last video, which is some sort of record for me because normally it's weeks in between videos at the moment. But I made a video on Friday, and during which I threatened to make another video today, or as soon as I could, after the reveal stream had come out. So it was Friday night when I made my last video just before the reveal stream was going to go live. And so I was up and all excited about the reveal stream, the final GW reveal stream of the year of 2025. We knew a little bit about what was going to be revealed, but you know there's quite a lot of anticipation as to what else they could show off, particularly for 40k. Were they going to show off Corsairs or Huron Blackheart, or maybe some new orcs or something like that? Maybe even you get lucky with a Primarch like Perturabo or something, but no, they didn't show any of that. And then for Heresy, we thought maybe Cataphracti, Terminator armor, maybe a Titan, and maybe the new Custody range that's been rumoured to be coming out in plastic. We didn't get much of that. We got the Cataphracti, or Cataphracti, and yeah, we'll talk about those anyway. So this is going to be a long stream, so strap in if you can be bothered to watch it. If you can't, no worries. Like, subscribe, and then leave, okay? But you don't have to watch this. I make these videos for myself, really, and just so I can go over things and read articles and stuff like that. But if you want to come along for the ride and watch the video, then you're more than welcome. But this is going to be quite a long video, as I say, because there was a lot that was revealed, and it was a long stream. Now, the first thing to say about this stream, so I stayed up till 12:30 to start watching it. And of course you have at the start the obligatory kind of 10 minutes of corporate waffle talking about people's hobby and where they're from and all this kind of, you know, guff that they always do to start the streams off. And of course it was in Atlanta, I think, wasn't it? This year at the Warhammer World Championships. And so Eddie and Adam Troke, Eddie Eccles and Adam Troke were presenting to a live audience, and of course that's difficult. You know, you're sort of improvising and everything's live, so you can't have any retakes, what have you. And they're normally pretty good at it. You know, I quite like both of them. They do a fine job. You know, it's a difficult job, and they do well normally. But this live stream was a fucking shit show. There is no other way to describe it. It was an absolute fucking car crash of an advertisement, which is what it is, for a multi-billion-dollar company to show off at the World Championships of their game. You know, we're going to show you all the great things we've got coming out. This is our showcase. This is our big final reveal stream of the year, and it could not have been worse from a sort of technical perspective and from a planning and just organizational viewpoint. Firstly, you had the first sort of 20 minutes, maybe half an hour of the stream, where the mics were unbelievably quiet, but yet also echoing. So they obviously hadn't tested it properly. They hadn't got the mics and the acoustics correct at all. So it was absolutely excruciating. You couldn't hear what was being said, what was being talked about, but also it was completely intolerable to the human ear with the echo. You know, so it was an uncomfortable, terrible experience. But this went on. This went on for about half an hour with people in the Twitch chat saying, "Hey, no audio. You know, can you sort this out? Can you fix it?" It just went on and on and on with no one doing anything about it, no one fixing it, or maybe they were behind the scenes, but there was no way to tell. And then suddenly, about half an hour into the stream just sort of went. It just went blank. It just came up with a placeholder. Sorry, we have technical difficulties, like a placeholder card in front of the screen, and that was it. And then that lasted. It was at least 20 minutes. It could have been 25 minutes while they tried to fix their fucking mics and their audio issues, and everyone was just sat sorry, we'll be back soon, technical difficulties. And so you just sat watching the stream thinking, what the hell is going on here? Nothing being said, really, nothing. And then suddenly, after 25 minutes, it just comes back. Great. It comes back, but then the lights aren't working. The lights go off for some reason in their sort of studio, wherever they were holding it at the event. And then they start talking, and the mics are louder, but the echo's worse. So they managed to make it worse. And then it went on like this for a little while, and then, to be fair to them, they did sort of sort it out. And by the end of the stream, sort of the last third of the stream, it was listenable. It was tolerable. You could understand what was being said, and the echo wasn't as bad as it had been. But my God, what is going on at Games Workshop? I mean, it's a tiny company, an individual, like a successful YouTuber or a reasonably sized YouTuber with a bit of resources could do a show like that. You see people, with camcorders that could do a better sort of improvised show than that. And then, from a technology and from a broadcasting perspective. But then the actual show itself, I mean, they're cutting to sort of videotape now and then to play pre-recorded pieces about the products that they're revealing. But in between that, you've got things like Eddie standing up and holding sprues up miles away from the camera, holding the sprue up to his chest so you can't even see anything. Not even having the foresight to maybe put a sprue onto a table, or like a blank background, and then zoom in, have a proper camera and zoom in, so you can see the sprue. And then at one point they showed off a book. I can't remember which book it was, but they showed it off, and then the camera cut away too early, or only showed half the book. Or something. I mean, it was unbelievably terrible. So that's the first thing, and the main thing to say about this reveal stream. This company makes hundreds of millions of pounds of profit. They hike their prices up every fucking 6 months, it seems like, and they cannot invest anything more than, I don't know what they invested, like £100 or something into this sort of flagship reveal show of the year. It was a disgrace, basically. It was a complete disgrace. And anybody who doesn't know anything about Games Workshop or is interested in the hobby or just happened to be watching that stream would have thought, what the fuck is this? Who are these people? Who is this tiny little company trying to struggle on the internet? It was an embarrassment. It was a total embarrassment, and they need to really think about what the hell they're doing, because it's just a joke. But anyway, so rant over. But if you watched it, you know what I mean. It was pathetic, absolutely pathetic. It was like watching one of my streams. That's how technically adept they are. Okay, not quite as bad as me, but get in there. But anyway, so this is going to be a long stream, as I said, or a long video rather. So let's crack on. I'll try and go through as quick as I can, but it's going to be fucking ages because there are loads and loads of reveals here, and we're going to have a look at each one. I'll try not to just read through everything, but some of this stuff sort of washed over me, and I didn't pay too much attention, and because of the quality of the broadcast, I wasn't paying massive amount of attention to it. So let's, it'll be good for me to go through, but please join me. So here we have the first thing, which is this Warhammer Quest Dark Water, and I remember a couple of the other Warhammer quests from years gone by. I remember Silver Tower was the last one, I think, and that was quite cool. I mean, these boxes are always there, and particularly the ones that are set in Age of Sigmar, which I think all the Warhammer quests are actually, because you had like Blackstone Fortress and things. But Warhammer Quest is it's elves and dwarves and barbarians and sorcerers and things like that. It's fantasy. It's not 40k, and usually they're a pretty good sort of range of different models, and I can't really speak to the game. I think I've played it a little bit, and it was whatever. It's just more about just sitting and having fun and having a drink with your friends. I don't think the game is going to break any ceilings or anything. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but I think that there's two things to say here. Well, three things. The first is that the sort of what do you call it? Not battlefield, but the the arena, the area that that this game takes place in is actually a book, and the book opens up into the the gaming area, which is quite a cool idea, I think. But my only concern with that is the quality of this book. Is it going to just start falling apart if you're constantly opening it at different pages and stuff? Maybe. Have to see. And also it does mean that the sort of play area is quite small as well, because it's just this book, rather than like a larger mat or what have you. So to play this game on such a small area is a bit odd, but I don't know, I haven't played the game, of course. The second thing to say is about the sort of the band of heroes that the adventurers that you're going to be playing with. They, in my eye, are quite mixed models. So let's have a look and go through some of them. This guy, Edmark Valoran, obviously they've all got slightly silly names. He's pretty cool. I like him. The Manticore Knight. He's a knight, isn't he? But he's got some pretty ornate sort of armor and shield and everything, with this all the lion emblems. Has a manticore got a lion's head? I imagine it probably has. So yeah, he's pretty cool. I like him. And then you get this, and what is this? I mean, maybe some people like this, but I think this is just absolutely terrible. I think every bit of the face is all right, but everything else in this model, I hate the pose, I hate the armor, I hate everything about it, personally. Brentillis, the Renegade Saint. This is a odd model as well, I think. I quite like what they're trying to do with this wisp of vapor or whatever it is from her potion or whatever she's holding, and it sort of goes up and meets her sword. So it's quite an unusual pose and stance. Her feet look huge. Her face is a bit off. I don't know. I don't like the model particularly. I'm not a fan of dwarfs, but this guy's pretty cool. He is a dwarf. Two axes, sort of stout and looking aggressive. Don't have a problem with him at all. And then we have some others. This guy's like what do you call them? Like a centaur type thing, isn't he? Really. I don't know. Maybe it says, but I'm not going to spend the time reading all this. He's okay. He's all right. Doesn't do much for me, but he's all right. This guy, he's quite kind of funny, isn't he? Quite comedic. The rampaging beast, Drasher Vaughan. At least it's something different. I mean, he looks a little bit like a very irate Ewok, but okay, it's something a bit different. I don't mind it. And then you have this sort of wizard, the Jade Wizard, Jacobus Vine. I mean, I kind of like the idea of him having like a vine type staff, but his little owl doesn't look very good. This thing, is it like a wolf made from vines? I don't really like. And I think his face and some of the detailing is pretty meh, really. So that's the sort of the warband that you'll be playing with, the heroes. Model wise, can sort of take it or leave it. The only good thing to say about the models, I think, really, or what the main thing is that there's so many in this box. So you've got these, and what was that, like 8 or 10 heroes? But the real sort of star of the show, I think, is all the Nurgle stuff that apparently you'll be fighting in this game. Now this guy, Gelgus Pust, Belga the Sistwitch, Mulgoth the Cleaver, and Shaman Falhoof. So these are the different sort of named characters. But Gelgus Pust. Now he is an awesome model, I think. Really, really like him. He's kind of horrific. The ridiculous sort of glowering, cackling face is pretty horrible. But to me, that he's just a perfect Demon Prince of Nurgle in 40k. And I'm sure people are going to be using him. I think he'll become, if it's the same base, and it kind of looks like it is. I mean, what's a Demon Prince on? Maybe 60 mil base? Is that right? Is that big enough? 60 mil? Can't remember, but let's say it's a 60 mod. If it's the same base as a regular Demon Prince, everybody's going to use this guy as the Demon Prince of Nurgle because he's fantastic model. And then the rest they're okay. At least they're sort of innovative, something a bit different. I mean, you've got this. This is weird. Like 4 arms here. There's like the little head poking and stirring the cauldron of whatever the fuck is in that cauldron, and then this. I don't know, like the second head, the body above the other body. I mean, it's just so weird. And then of course the big sort of maggot at the base. So I mean, does this maggot go all the way around and like curves up as part of the body going into this witch here? You know, it's pretty inventive. It's pretty cool. I like that. This guy is great as well. I think like a Nurgle warrior type guy, but huge hand, just huge arm for no apparent reason. Mulgoth the Cleaver, brilliant. And then this shaman Foulhoof. I think he's a beast man, isn't he? But he's a beast man, shaman beast man. Really cool model as well. There's a lot going on with him. He just looks sort of savage and it looks great. So these models are brilliant. These 4 sort of characters, and then you've got loads more. The Cankerborn, they're great model. Look at their horrible 3-eyed head thing. Well, it's almost like 3 heads stuck together because they've got 3 mouths as well. Really good, something new. The Blight Templars. These are again like the sort of the Nurgle warriors, aren't they? That you get in Age of Sigmar. They're very similar, so you can just mix and match these in. I would think with your army. These guys, the Pox Wretches. Really great models. So you can, I mean, people will be using these again as Poxwalkers. I imagine in 40k again if they're on the right base, which is probably a 25 base. I think people, you know, really nice model, really great detail, and you can see that there's quite a few duplicate poses there, but not too much. You know, maybe how many are there? 15, and maybe they come in sets of 5. And then these guys, the Pestigors, these again are like sort of beast men, aren't they? Again, great. Like again with the duplication with the poses, but you always expect that with these boxes. I mean, they try to make them good value, and of course, so they're not all individual sculpts. They will try and replicate small sprues of units, and they always do this. And then these things, Maya Kelpies. I mean, I don't know whether I can take or leave them, frankly. And then this is the book that you open up and you play the game on. I mean, it's nice. I don't know whether I'd get this. I mean, I certainly don't think I'd ever play it, but I mean, it looks quite a cool set. I might just buy it for the Demon Prince of Nurgle anyway. Although I think a lot of these guys are going to come out as AOS characters in their own sets. But anyway, so the show started with that. How long have I been recording for? 18 minutes. So if you think that's a long time, imagine what 25 minutes was of a technical break that they had on the stream, because just to reiterate how fucking terrible that was. So anyway, so that was that. They led with that, and okay, cool. But we already knew about that box. We'd seen it previewed, you know, previously on Warhammer Community, etc. So there's no great surprise there. They then launch into something very similar, because again it's Nurgle, and there were rumours that there was going to be a new Nurgle release for AOS, and that turned out to be right. So this was it. Some interesting characters. Festus the Leech Lord. He's different, but he kind of the same in a way. He reminds me of quite a lot of AOS characters. Reminds me a bit of like Glutos, the Head Knights of Slaanesh character, and wasn't there a big snail as well for AOS that Nurgle AOS? I can't remember what it was now, but I don't know. There's something very familiar about him, although he's very different. I mean, and this thing that he's riding is horrific. So he's just riding a big slug with a huge sort of gaping maw of teeth. I mean, he's fun, isn't he? I imagine a few people would love to buy him to paint because there's so much going on with him. I mean, he's even got like a corpse that's been almost mummified, and he's like just strapped to his to the pole on his back for some unknown reason. But he's pretty horrible, isn't he? In life, Festus was a healer who wished to have the knowledge needed to cure all illnesses. But in his study of disease, he became unknowingly trapped within Nurgle's clutches. His voracious appetite for knowledge saw the grandfather himself become his tutor, and over 7,777 years of learning, he became a master of maladies and the cankerous arts, earning the rare right to ascend to demonhood. And is that like just a huge tentacle ripping out of his abdomen? He's absolutely horrific. So I'm sure Nurgle players will love him. But then there was a full release here. So you have these Nurgle Sloven Knights, and I like them actually. They're okay. There's something sort of disconcerting about how they're obviously the knights are very heavy and cumbersome, and these horses look like they're on their last legs. They're covered in boils. They look like they're straining and struggling. It's kind of horrible. And I mean, what is going on with his tongue there? That is gross. So it's kind of nice. It fits the aesthetic of decay and death and disease. And oh look at them without their helmets on. I hadn't seen this before. Look at their faces. They are gross. So that's cool. That's great. That's fun. Just what Nurgle should be, really. Absolutely horrible. And then some more characters. Are they characters? Putrid Blight Kings. No, this is going to be a unit, isn't it? Yeah, this is a unit. Putrid Blight Kings. And again, it's the same sort of aesthetic. We've seen this before with previous Nurgle releases for AOS. This kind of bulbous body, very often sort of bare-chested, but with the horn, with the helmet with the horns protruding out. Big sort of rusted weapons. Great. It's all good stuff. If you play Nurgle in AOS, you'd be over the moon with this, wouldn't you? You'd be so happy adding these to your army. What are these ones? Are these just more... Oh, hang on. Rot swords. Though Nurgle is often associated with slothfulness and indolence, his followers represent all aspects of disease, including the mania induced by fever. Rot swords are warriors trapped in a constant state of spasming and twitching, their reeking bodies hot to the touch and covered in the sweat of a terminal ague. Or ague. Oh, God, I don't know how to say that word. With rusted swords, they slice open flesh, attempting to proliferate their suffering to others. I mean, yeah, horrible. They're great. You just don't really have anything negative to say about them. They're fantastic. Look at, what is that? Are those just like eyeballs, just sort of almost blossoming out of the side of his head? It's just really horrible. And then more as well, Pestigore. So these again are sort of beastmen, but they're beastmen with their insides falling out. They look really in quite a bad state, don't they? They can't be happy about what's going on. I mean, what is happening with him? Oh, they're fucked, aren't they? Oh my God, it's almost like a snail's, what do you call them? I'm not even going to attempt the word, but the things that protrude out of like a snail's eye. That is horrible. And again with this whole eyeball thing. It's they're gross. They're absolutely gross. Cool. And then of course the new battle tome. So, if you play Nurgle, I mean these are a great advert for Nurgle. Now what's it saying about these guys as well then? The battle tome also includes updated army rules for the followers of Nurgle, rules for a new spearhead, 2 regiments of renown and 2 armies of renown, 1 army of renown, eschews the spreading of disease and lets Rotbringers embrace a 7-step cycle of corruption, while the other has Horticular Slimex. That's the one I was thinking of before, the snail. Lead an extremely green-fingered delegation known as the Gardeners of Nurgle. There's also a Path to Glory section which lets you craft your own cankerous commander. Just as the followers of the grandfather carry with them odd... What is that word? tchotchkes and fetishes, so too can you equip yourself with accessories when playing games of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, blah blah blah. Right, what I wanted to know was why they are including these guys from the Warhammer Quest box here. Can you play with them in Age of Sigmar? I think you must be able to. The book also contains rules for using Nurgle's followers from Warhammer Quest Darkwater. Okay, brilliant. A new entry in the beloved board game series, Gilgus Pust, his court of supporting characters, the Cankerborn, the Poxwretches, all join the carnival of corruption with their own war scrolls and standalone boxes that will release at a later date. Right, so there we go. Confirmation that they're going to release all of the guys from Darkwater as separate kits. I actually think they'll be popular. I think, yeah, it's such a sort of well fleshed out range now. Nurgle, AOS Nurgle, that I think this range will go down great. Much better than this sort of those Iron Dwarfs that they came out with. What were they, Iron Dwarfs of Hashut or something? I don't know anybody who's had anything really good to say about them. Tell me in the comments if you play AOS and you like them and you're well into the sort of the Dark Iron Dwarfs, whatever they are. Tell me, but for me they were just a real swing and a miss. But these guys are great, so love them. So it was quite a good start, really. So you've got two interesting releases, particularly the second one. It's I almost see it as one release. It's just a big Nurgle release, that the first two. Then you had about the animations. So that was kind of a bit of an interlude while they played us some teasers of animations. The Sisters of Battle animation looks really cool. I'm definitely going to watch out for that and watch that. The Order of the Sacred Rose, really cool. And you can tell that it's this same company doing these sort of more time consuming, more resource heavy videos. They also did the ones like the Tithe series as well, which is controversial for having the female custodian in it, and a few others. But I'll really look forward to that one because they're great quality. And then you have different, you have like Hammer and Bolter, and then different, more sort of cartoony ones. The Black Talon series is quite cartoony, the AOS one. But anyway, so they previewed a few, and I think there was a little glimpse of Astartes 2 as well in the preview, but who knows? They didn't mention it. I don't remember. God knows when that'll come out, but obviously that will be a massive thing when Astartes 2 comes out. So that was that. Oh, not yet. And then what else should we mention? Well, the next big thing was the Horus Heresy, and as I said, Cataphracti Terminators had been rumoured, and this piques my interest because I've got quite a large army of Horus Heresy sat in boxes, most of it. I've built a few of the tanks, but most of it sat in boxes, and this is probably going to be my Christmas project to build an entire Horus Heresy army. I'm thinking of going Sons of Horus, because I do quite like them. They've got loads of nice characters, and there's rumours that there's going to be a new Abaddon, and obviously the new Horus model is the Horus, Horus Ascended or something? Can't remember now. Brilliant model. So I think, and I really like their paint scheme when it's done as a very dark green, but with a lot of metallics. So I'm probably going to go Sons of Horus, the good guys. So I was interested to see what these new Cataphracti Terminators were going to be, and I was a bit surprised. I was very surprised actually when I saw them. Let's see if there's anything worth reading, because we'd already seen, of course, the Breacher squads had been leaked, or not leaked, revealed at a previous reveal stream actually. So we'd seen them as well. Just reading on here, it says the Cataphracti pattern of tactical dreadnought armour has been brought screaming up to date, so that its prodigious size and bulk matches the scale of the new Mark 6, 3 and 2 armoured miniatures. Its thick armour plating and powerful shield generator does come at the cost of speed, leading some legions to phase it out in favour of the more nimble Tartarus pattern. That's interesting because they're clearly going to refresh Tartarus as well, and God, it needs it. I mean, I remember when those kits came out. God, I mean, when was it? 7-8 years ago now, when they did the Ashes of Prospero and the, I think was it Mark of Calth, that were the first sort of 30k based kits that were plastic really, and there was these box sets. You had a new Azama, what's his name, Araman, and who else? I think there was a Space Wolf character in there. Oh yeah, there would have been because it was like Prospero, and they came out with lots of new things. But the Tartarus Terminators was one of the kits, and yeah, great. You can finally use Tartarus Terminators in plastic. But now, just only a few years later, they look ridiculous. I mean, that Araman model looks absolutely stupid. It looks like Araman's kids come to school, but it was a great start, and I think they sold a lot of boxes of those, and it really opened things. It opened the pathway up for them to say, hang on, let's make more and more of the heresy plastic. Let's move away from resin, and we've got another market here. And of course now we know it's a trifecta of 40k AOS and Horus Heresy, and that's what they're going with on a 3-year cycle for each. So it'll be interesting to see how they refresh the Tartarus Terminators. I mean, if they're saying they're more nimble, sort of speedy, okay, are they going to make them sort of a bit more flimsy or a bit more thin? We've obviously seen the Saturnine Terminators. They're huge and very bulky, and I suppose the Cataphracti are kind of in the middle now, because I was surprised that they look like this, and they're growing on me, but they look a lot less chunky than they used to be. The waists seem quite thin, and yeah, I don't know. The Cataphracti was always more sort of bulky and top heavy, and like came across as a bit more immobile, which is possibly not what you want really. So this is a bit of a change in style, but yeah, they are growing on me, and they might look a bit static as well. For example, he's kind of just stood there, but I do like that model. I do like everything about it really. They got their Volkite guns. Yeah, these look great. I think actually, the more I look at them, the more I like them. There's something a bit savage about them, and a bit like harken back to almost like Thunder Warriors in the style. It's something old-fashioned about them. Almost look like 1950s robots, like from a 1950s sci-fi show or something. Yeah, so hang on. I just need to check what the situation is with duplicate posing here. Maybe not. It's because Games Workshop will, when they show off models, they will twist them around so that you can't quite tell that actually it's basically the same model. Just twisted around. So I don't know. Can't see any duplicate poses there, but yeah, it's a nice kit. And then we got more here. So there are actually 2 new Cataphracti kits coming out. The first is 2 new ways to make money for Games Workshop. Great. The first is armed with the classic combination of power weapons, in this case power mauls and Volkite chargers, while the second comes with the more modern pairing of power fists and combi bolters. These configurations only affect what comes in the box, and you're free to equip your walking tanks however you wish. They've obviously put that in because of the whole drama about when they released 3rd edition and people suddenly couldn't equip their Tartarus Terminators with the weapons that were in the box. So they're going all out now to reassure you, just build them however you want. As you may have noticed in the rules, these Terminators can take up to 12 in a squad, so each kit comes with 6. It means that it's easy to max out the unit size. Okay, why doesn't each kit come with 12? I mean, isn't that funny? They come up to... There's 12 in a squad, so you'll be pleased to know there's 6 in a box. I mean, okay. I mean, I wasn't expecting more than that, but it's funny how they sell that to you as a plus point. You get half a squad in a box for only 45 quid. But yeah, so these are the other guys that they got the power fists. Now I did see a video with someone saying, "Oh, what the fucking power fists are so small, they look stupid." And Yeah, it's a bit weird. The power fists are small, but when you compare them to I mean, that's his hand there. That's just like his kind of gauntlet-clad fist, which is a lot smaller than on the other side, the power fist. But the power fist does look oddly small. And again, you really get the sense here with this guy, like, of the sort of taut abdomen, and it almost looks like he's wearing a corset or something. It is odd. They have changed the design of this, as I say. Anyway, moving on to the breacher squads. They are most commonly employed in boarding actions where their interlocking shields are perfect for forcing a path down embattled corridors, but they could also be found wherever durability was more important than speed. Their heavy ablative shields protect against weapons that would otherwise carve right through power armour, and provide a convenient bracing point for specialised close-ranged weapons like graviton guns and las cutters. And these boys look great. And I've got to say, as much shit as Heresy gets and has got since the launch of 3rd edition, I actually think they've done a great job with all the kits. I'm not a fan of Mark 6 Beaky, but I think they did them as well as they could. And you know, there was a bit of controversy with the Saturnine kits, particularly the Terminators. They were a bit Marmite when they came out. People either loved or hated them. But you know, that was I think I said in a video at the time, that is a very old design. So they had to keep to the origins of the armour whilst also making it like a modern and cool miniature. And I think they did a brilliant job of it. And again, they're kind of basic models. They look a bit old-fashioned again in the design. You know, can we compare it to a Primera Space Marine? I mean, it's night and day. This looks like somebody's welded him into an iron lung or something. I mean, it almost looks primitive in comparison to 40k. But that's great. That's cool. That's why people like the Heresy. It's from a different time. The irony is that 30k is supposed to be when they had all the technology, and 40k is supposed to be the dark time where everybody's forgotten how to use everything. So it's, I mean, you know, it's a bit, Belisarius Cawl has messed all that up, hasn't he, with hover tanks and Primeras, but you know, you get the drift. But these are great. I love all the little accoutrements they have. Whatever the hell this is, looks like it's not a servo skull really, is it? But it'd be some sort of targeting device or something, or communications device. They've got obviously a range of weapons. The back banner there, and the shields are great as well. So these are all great. What a brilliant kit. Each unit of 10. Each unit of 10. So there's 5 in a box. No, I think you probably will get a box of 10 of these. Each unit of 10 combines the versatile Mark III power armor bodies with a new Breacher Squad upgrade frame containing shields, new arms, and weapons and heads. Much like the upgrades found in the Command Squad boxes and various weapon packs, these new parts are fully compatible with both Mark VI and Mark II tactical squad kits as well, so you can represent units from different times and places with ease. That's brilliant. I mean, that's exactly the sort of thing they should be doing. Oh, okay, we're going to bring out all these kits. They're all going to be upscaled. They're all going to be modern. They're all going to be refreshed ranges based on the things in the lore maybe we've never made models of before, or maybe the old resin ones that are way out of date. And do you know what? We're gonna bring them all out so they all fit together in the same scale, and they're all going to be interchangeable. So all the upgrades, all the weapons, you can mix and match them. Brilliant. This is when GW are at their best, when they're thinking about what they're doing. And I think maybe the Heresy team think about what they're doing a bit more than some of the other game systems. So here we go. The first place you can get these awesome new kits is an upcoming Siege Assault Battle Group box, which contains a unit of 6 Cataphracti Terminators, so half a squad, with Volkite Charge. Oh no, hang on. 6 Cataphracti Terminators with Volkite Charges and Power Mauls, 6 with Combi Bolts and Power Fists. Okay, fair enough. 10 Breachers and a brutal Leviathan Dreadnought with a Siege Claw and Siege Drill. the perfect line breaker to create an opening in enemy defences. It also comes with a selection of transfer chutes for blah, blah, blah. Right, okay. Great box. I think that's an auto buy. I'll definitely be getting it, but in typical GW style, they've packaged some new stuff that you're really going to want with a Leviathan Dreadnought that you've already got. Because if you're into Horus Heresy, you've bought a Leviathan Dreadnought. I mean, you'd be mad not to, 'cause it's one of the coolest models in the whole game, in the whole setting. So they're forcing you now to pay for an additional Leviathan Dreadnought if you want the new kits, which you do. And of course, as they say, there's two Cataphractii units. They're going to give you half of one unit and half of the other. So again, the first thing you're going to want to do is buy another box of each of those two Cataphractii. So it's, you've got the usual Games Workshop sort of manipulation and slight gouging of their customer base there, but they're very good at it because they put enough good stuff in the box that you have to buy it. If you're into it, you have to buy it. I'll buy this. It's the day this comes out, I'll buy it. No doubt about that. So overall, another hit. Great. Breaches are brilliant. The Cataphractii, slightly unusual, but I'm getting used to them. And I think overall, the Power Fists are weird. But let's see them in the flesh. Great. So happy about all that and looking forward to seeing the Tartarus when they come out, be revealed. So there's that. And then I'm going to briefly touch on, because this is going to be hours, this video, and you've probably tuned out, but if you haven't, let's say you fell asleep for half an hour, you're just waking up now, and I'm still going. You haven't missed much, and you're not going to miss much here either, because I'm going to slightly skim over this. This is Scutari, again, still Horus Heresy. I've seen people really slate this. These do look like women in thigh-length boots, don't they? A little bit. Just out, all right, Sharon, all right, Tracy, they're out on a night out, maybe in Newcastle or Manchester somewhere. They've taken their ridiculously big rifles with them. I mean, you would if you're in Manchester. You need to be armed, but they've done their makeup and they're out on the town, going clubbing. Brilliant. Just what you want from your Horus Heresy army. And then this is quite cool, this new drone thing. And I can see people using this as a Nurgle drone, like a bloke drone or something in 40k, because it'd be perfect for that, absolutely perfect. Everyone takes bloke drones when they play Death Guard. They're all kind of the same. And I know you can have the mower and the long range and short range guns, but you get sick of seeing the same models all the time, so why not use one of these? It would fit perfectly. If you can get rid of any little Mechanicus emblems on it. And they've got a Battle Force box as well. So if you're into Scutari, great, there you go. You too can have thigh-length boots on the battlefield of the 31st millennium. And then there's a book to go with it. I mean, that's just bounced off me. I'm not interested, but I'm not interested in AdMech. So tell me, if you play AdMech, if you love AdMech, what do you think of that? Do you love it? Are you happy about this new release, or are you disappointed, or what? Tell me. I say that and nobody ever puts a comment in, but please feel free to. Then we had a load of stuff about the Legions Imperialis game, which I've never seen anyone play this game. I've seen people play Titanicus, and all the Titan models are great for Titanicus, and there was a lot of hype about getting a new version of Epic before this game launched. And then it wasn't Epic, it was Legions Imperialis set in 30k, and I've never seen anyone play it. And I don't hear people talking about it. I mean, does this sell? They keep making models for it. I mean, does it sell? I'm wondering whether it's a bit of a throwaway thing, because I think that everything they design and bring out for Legions Imperialis, which is obviously in plastic, everything they do, they can make in full scale, if you like, full Horus Heresy scale. And I think the evidence for that is that everything they've brought out for this game until now has been stuff that they've brought out for Horus Heresy. So again, what new things are they bringing out now? It's all the Saturnine stuff. All the stuff that they'd already designed on CAD files and on the computers and then now they can just churn it out in a smaller, different sprue and on a smaller scale. Again, is it a coincidence that we've got these gun turrets, the tarantula guns, whatever they're called, that came out recently for 30k? And the exciting thing about that, and just go back to the point, all of the tanks that have come out have been sort of the same as well, whether it's a Fellblade or a Typhon or a Cerberus, or anything. And we're going to see some more of these now. They've all come out for 30k as well. But the exciting thing about it is, hopefully, if I'm right on that, it tips us off as to what might be coming in plastic at full scale, because that is a mastodon right there. The biggest sort of transport tank thing you can buy or you can use in 30k. And it's always been resin, and it's huge, it's heavy. No one's going to want to buy and build that really in this day and age. So a plastic mastodon would be an absolute auto buy for me and for anyone that likes Heresy. And then we see these. So this is the Falchion tank, and again, the Falchion is a very well-known, big resin 30k tank. So if they're making it in plastic at this scale, I'm expecting this to come sooner or later. It will come down the line for 30k, which is brilliant. Just as we had recently with the Fellblade. So I'm not going to read any of this, but there you go. I think that's Fellblade, isn't it? It's talking about the Fellblade. That's the... Is that the glaive? Yeah, so a second set of super heavy tanks gives you the option of building a pair of Fellblade or glaive tanks. Yeah, so you got the Fellblade there, which has just come out. The glaive is obviously coming out full size soon. Obviously, I mean, it's the same chassis as the Fellblade. So yeah, all of these things that aren't out in full size yet, you've got to think they're coming, and that will include the Thunderhawk gunship. And as I say, the Mastodon, and it's going to be everything else. Surely they're going to make the entire range for 30k in plastic. But the fact that I'm looking at all these reveals for a game called Legion Imperialis, and all I'm talking about is 30k, sort of speaks to the indifference that I have to this game. I'll never play it. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to collect it. I'm not interested in it. I don't know why, but I'm not. And I don't think many people are either, but please do correct me if I'm wrong. We have a couple of things left. I'm going to skip over some stuff or go very quickly. Try and keep this video to like an hour and 10 minutes or something. But I do want to speak about this because this was weird to me. So the Horus Heresy, okay, they say here it's 54 novels. And then you've got short stories, and then you've got the Siege of Terror and all the short stories with that. And now they're coming out with Era of Ruin, and they're going back and they've just done the Drop Site Massacre. So it just goes on and on and on. So the Horus Heresy is endless. And there's a lot of books you don't need to read. I mean, maybe you're a fan of a particular legion, so you want to read those books. But there's a lot of books that sort of branch off and deviate from the story, and then you come back to the main sort of thread. So what they've tried to do here, and I think it's a great idea, is to pull out the 12 most important books in the narrative of the Heresy, the touchstone sort of events, and re-release them. And it's great for Games Workshop because they're going to sell you the same thing again, and they love doing that. They love repackaging the same thing and selling it to you yet again. So they're going to do it in this series, but it's just, I don't know, like the books that they've picked might be a bit weird, I think. I'm not the biggest aficionado of Heresy. I haven't read all of the books. I've read quite a few, but not all of them. And I wouldn't be able to put a definitive, 12 books together. But I think maybe 12 is a little bit too short. Maybe it should have been 15 at least, I think. Obviously, they're going with books 1 to 5. I think, well, certainly 1 to 4, aren't they? I don't know whether Fulgrim they're doing as well, but because that is really the cornerstone of the Heresy. So we're starting here with Horus Rising, and one good thing about the books are that they're got brand new art and brand new design. Is the famous thing about the first three books, or the first and the second book actually. Is it Galaxy in Flames the second book? I haven't read it. Oh no, False Gods was the second book. I think it was those two books. They had they actually got the covers the wrong way around. So you had like the Lunar Wolves, when it should have been another faction, and vice versa. So that they're going to correct that mistake, I suppose, by doing this, because this is all like new artwork. Looks really cool. There's Horus in all his finery. That must be Abaddon probably behind him. Let's see what it says, because this is interesting to read. Blah blah blah. Each book in the saga will feature brand new cover art by Neil Roberts, and he's the guy who did all the art. I mean, I actually spoke to him at a Warhammer event once, and he was telling me about that, how they got the artwork wrong. So they've stayed with him. He's going to do all of the cover art for this. Brilliant. Of course, we're starting with the award-winning Dan Abnett's classic opener, Horus Rising, and the cover looks a little something like this. I wonder whether there's any like artwork or new art or anything new inside the book, any new maps or anything like that, because that would add to it, be an extra selling point. It's a perfect way for newcomers to jump into the series, and also lets the veteran Heresy readers relive some of their favourite novels. Has it really been nearly 20 years since the release of Horus Rising? Sounds like warp shenanigans to us. So here are the 12 books they've picked: Horus Rising, False Gods, Galaxy in Flames, Flight of the Eisenstein, Fulgrim. That is the first 5 books. I think the 6th one is probably like Mechanicus. But that's kind of weird in itself, isn't it? That you've got a 56 book or 54 book series, and you pick the first 5 of them to go into a series of 12. So that is so front loaded. It's, just you can tell that's not right. I mean, and they are. I mean, particularly the first. Well, yeah, really the first 4 books, maybe even 5 actually. To be fair, because of Istvan, they are keystone books and integral to the Heresy. But I think they should have fleshed it out with a few more, because that just leaves you with 7 books to cover everything. And they've gone for the first Heretic, Prospero Burns, No Fear, Betrayer, Praetorian of Dawn, Master of Mankind, Slaves to Darkness. I mean, you can't really argue with any of those. First Heretic, Betrayer, No Fear. I mean, they're all, Prospero Burns, Master of Mankind's a brilliant book. I haven't read Praetorian of Dawn, but I think it is quite key. I mean, it's, Dawn and Alpharis and all that. I think they're all great books, and it's going to be really nice to see them redone, but I think they could have put a few more in there. I mean, you could go through that series, and do you know much about the Blood Angels? Do you know much about the Dark Angels? Do you know much about the White Scars? Through reading those 12 books, do you know what any of them are doing? Who they are? Maybe they're not absolutely integral to the Heresy and to Horus's fall to chaos, but I think they should have potentially fleshed it out with a couple of the others. It's hard to say, because they obviously want to keep it condensed, and so if you read these 12, you can talk about the Heresy. You know about Lorgar. You know what Magnus did. Nothing wrong, apparently. That's what he did. You know about the Emperor and the Custodes and what that's all really about. And so I'm in two minds. I don't want to criticise that too much, because I think it's a cool idea. I quite like it. Maybe they just could have added in maybe 2 or 3 more. Let's see. These novels cover some of the most important moments in the Heresy: the battles of Istvan 3 and 5, the fall of Lorgar and the Word Bearers to Chaos, the burnings of Prospero and Calth, and a look at what the Emperor was doing on Terra while Horus was making his way across the galaxy. Each one will be released first in a hardback English edition, and then in other languages. Yeah. Overall, I think I like it, and I like that they're doing that. I think it's a good idea. Next thing is some Old World. I'm not into Old World. I don't know much about it. I think this is Cathay, isn't it? So this is like the second. This is wave 2 of the Cathay releases, which is basically what ancient China, isn't it? I mean, that's the aesthetic they're going for. Everything's like a jade, something or other, or in a floating balloon, a hot air balloon, and things like that. So it's all ancient China basically. Is the aesthetic they're stealing for this. I'm not going to read too much. We can just see it. This seems to be more like the rank and file. Actually, what I did like was I think this is the same guy, so you can use him. I think, don't quote me on that, but I think you can use him either on horseback or on foot. Like they do in the Lord of the Rings game, which is something we haven't seen a reveal of for a long time. But anyway, yeah, it seems to be like the more the rank and file, peasant levy. So this is fleshing out the army now after we had like those big giants and huge centerpiece models that came out a few months ago. They got a new book, of course they have. You've got these like jade knights on horseback and everything, and cannons and stuff. So great. If you've just bought a Cathay army and built it, put it together, you now have a second half of that army and really bulk it out. You've got a great army for Old World. Things like this are going to get people back into Old World, and then you wonder where that leaves Age of Sigmar, because Sigmar, for all its creativity, has not grabbed people as a setting, and I don't think people really gravitate towards flying dwarfs and underwater elves and cow elves and things like that. And Old World is sort of, there's a lot of people that still love that lore, and the Total Warhammer game has obviously just really breathed life into the Old World, and so it'd be really interesting to see how they balance it, because it might be that Old World takes over and just outsells Age of Sigmar massively, and then they're going to be forced into putting loads of resources into it. So it's odd, but it's interesting. It's interesting to see what will happen. And then we move on to Necromunda, one of the sort of little side games that Games Workshop produce. And I quite like this guy. Ozostium Aranthus, the Divine Prince. What a title. The Aranthian succession has been the biggest news on Necromunda in quite some time. A bloody scramble to fill the leadership void left by the incapacitation, if not death, of Lord Gerontius Helmore. God. From the burning of Cinderak to the revelations deep in the vaults of Temenos and the flight of Lady Hera to the depths of Hive Secundus, the tale has twisted and turned. The final instalment of this story is now here, and a new power has taken the throne of Hive Primus. And he looks pretty cool in all his glory here. He's risen from the tomb deeps in the vaults of Temenos. Blah, 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 blah. And then you see him without his helmet on and without his armour on. He looks absolutely fucked. This incredible new plastic miniature shows Ozostium in all his gilded glory, but underneath the mask, he's starting to show his age. I'd say so. When your lips have decayed off your face and you don't have any eyelids, I would say you are starting to show your age. Christ, I am getting there, actually. Alongside him, comma, which Games Workshop don't do a lot of punctuation, drones his eternally loyal Karatid servitor. The Aranthians hated these capricious creatures, but valued their innate psychic powers, and so they do an Oxford comma though, and so killed them and preserved their bodies in cybernetic gear. Classy. And then you got these guys, and I think they would be really cool as like cultists or something. Like, you can imagine these being cultists in a Night Lord's army. They'd look absolutely great. So I like these. Necromunda is a real sort of window of opportunity for Games Workshop's designers to really go a bit wild and experimental. And 9 times out of 10 they knock it out of the park. These are great models. Look at these guys. So much character in them. Not so much of a fan of these, but they're still all right. The squats, new squats. All right, so that's that. And I think that brings us on to what was... Oh, no, it doesn't. Not quite, because we've got some... We're just hitting the hour mark, and we've got some new characters. Nice to see a new Votan character for 40k. That's becoming a really nice range now. I was really against like them bringing squats back. I just thought, God, there's so many different factions that need refreshing and love first. I mean, why aren't you refreshing the whole Tyranid range? Why aren't you refreshing the Dark Eldar and this, that, and the other? But they're slowly bringing everything up. Looks like Orcs will be next. I'm sure Drakari will get their day in the sun, and Grey Knights will get their day in the sun soon. But the new Votan range, now they've done the second wave and have brought out little bits here and there, it's actually becoming a really nice army. I've played Votan a couple of times on the tabletop, and it's a really nice army, and it has a really good aesthetic, this sort of industrial and not mechanised, like robotic. Yeah, sort of, they have a lot of AI robots with them. It's cool. It's quite a cool aesthetic. There's some great models, and he's another really good character. With his friend there, the orc. And then we don't often get a lot of Tau. I mean, Tau could really do with a refresh, I suppose, although they don't date in the same way that some other ranges do. And here we have these guys, the Twin Lance, which come as a pair. I think they're already known in the lore. So now they've got great new models. I mean, if you're a Tau player, you can't complain with that. That's just more Tau, isn't it? It's great. You know, battle suit type things, Tau war suits and huge guns, and that's what you want if you're a Tau player. And then a Tyranid, and a Tyranid Prime. We haven't had a Tyranid Prime model ever, I don't think. I'm thinking about when I used to play Tyranids at the start of 8th edition, and I think a Tyranid Prime was just a Tyranid warrior with an additional like shoulder pad, shoulder carapace or something on, or maybe just it was a bit of a crest protruding on his head. So this is a genuine, for the first time ever, I think, a genuine Tyranid Prime, and he's okay. I don't love him, but I think he does the job. It's all right. So I don't think we need to read much about these. These are just new characters coming out for 40k. And talking of new characters coming out for 40k. Something now, this I've just said about like some factions don't get a lot of love, and probably the most neglected faction in 40k is well, you might not have even heard of them actually, but there's a small Space Marine chapter. It is one of the founding chapters, so it's amazing that they're never mentioned or anything. But they're called Ultramarines, right? Ultramarines. And they wear blue and stuff. And the sad thing about Ultramarines is, and you would think they would be quite popular, but they never get new models. I don't think they have any characters. Actually, when I think about it, I don't think there are any Ultramarine characters. So it's nice to see. Or when I say never, I mean that there haven't been any releases for Ultramarines or any new Ultramarine characters for I think 5 or 6 days before the reveal stream. So dripping with sarcasm here, because ludicrously we are getting more Ultramarines, and I am part of the problem. Because I'm not even an Ultramarines fan, but I bought the new ones, as you saw from the video I did a few days ago. I built Sicarius already. Can I show him? He's fantastic. I'm not even a Sicarius fan, but what a great model, Do you know what? I'll tell you how bad it is. I even bought the dice. And I'll tell you what, these are the nicest dice. My Black Templar dice are very nice. This has turned into another product stream. My Black Templar dice are very nice, but these are probably the best or nicest dice I've ever seen Games Workshop make. They've got this sort of marbly effect. Oh God, I'm terrible at trying to show anything to the camera as well. And then you've got the Ultramarine, but it's this sort of marbled blue, which is it's so nice. I had to buy that as well. God, they're getting me. They're converting me. They're turning me into a bloody Ultramarine. What the fuck? But I don't play Space Marine 2 because I find it a very, very boring game. But anyway, yeah, joking aside, they're constantly coming out with brand new models of, for Ultramarines. Of course, the first Primarch that ever came back was Roboute Guilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines. Of course, we've had to have a new Calgar and then a new Calgar. I think there's a lot going on with the Calgar thing. Games Workshop clearly were trying to replace the old Tactical Marine with Primaris and Dreadnought Terminators with Gravis. That was obviously the plan. And then when they probably looked at it or got a lot of pushback, they realised that what a ridiculously stupid thing to do. I mean, like to get rid of classic designs like the Terminator armour or the Land Raider or the Rhino, people just aren't going to stand for that, and they're going to just switch off. So they've tried to introduce new things whilst keeping some of the old, and I think that's clearly the case. That's why Calgar had a new model in Gravis armour when he went Primaris. I mean, why is Calgar in Gravis armour? But they've set the record straight, and now he's back. He's back in his rightful place in his Terminator armour. We've had a new Uriel Ventris. We've now got a new Cato Sicarius. We've had Titus come out, the character in the games. We now have, I'm just about to show you, a new Titus character. We have the characters from Space Marine 2. We have Captain Centos. We have the other guy that's coming out soon from the, he's like a new captain from the Dawn of Fire series. There are so many Ultramarines characters, and that's before you get onto the non-captains. These are just the captains and the chapter masters. You then got like Tigurius and Telion, I think was another one, and Cassius. There's so many Ultramarines characters. So it really is just Ultramarine day every day of the week. But at least they're coming out with new model, and I'll never say no to new Space Marine models, even if they're Ultramarines. And this is the new Titus. Now, it's good that the one thing I like about this is his old model, the one that came out with the launch of Space Marine 2, I thought was an absolutely terrible model, just a genuinely awful model. And at least this one, again, he's a bit static. He's sort of standing there. I don't really know why, as a captain, he's got a chainsword, a power sword, but maybe that just speaks to his sort of brutality, just like chainsawing things. And it's all about the game as well, selling the game. So of course, it's more about having a chainsword in Space Marine 2, the game. I like the model. I do like the model. It's not perfect. It's not a 10 out of 10, but I like the fact I like his new cape and everything, and his iron halo at the back and stuff like that. So there's good and bad in the model, but it's a massive upgrade on the existing Titus model at least. And he comes with some little pals. And so you've got, the cynic in me says this is a way to get you to spend more money if you want the new Titus model, because he comes in a box. You can't buy him on his own. He comes in a box with this coterie here, and they're the guys from the game. Well, the one guy's from the game. His friend Ancient, who is now an Ancient Gadriel. He is from the game. I fear for the other guy who was in the game. Because there was the three main guys that you went around with in Space Marine 2, and the reason I say that is the other guy had, I can't remember his name, it's Charion or something like that, and he has a bullet chained to his shoulder plate as a mark, it's like a symbol of his marksmanship, and it looks he's not in this scene, he's not there today, and I don't know whether you can see, but there is a bullet hanging off this banner that his pal Gadriel is taking into battle. So it almost seems to me like he's remembering his friend, like Charion or whatever his name is, met his maker, which has conveniently left a space for somebody else to come in. Veteran Sergeant Matorus, and he was the guy who was with Titus in the Secret Level animation. If you saw that, and if you didn't, I recommend you go and see it, because it was really good. Brilliant animation that was, and he's in that, and he's quite cool. He was almost, I think he's sort of like, I think he actually took Titus in as a boy and kind of raised him in the chapter and has mentored him, and now Titus is sort of is the new hero, the captain, but his faithful veteran sergeant Matorus is still by his side. Yeah, the captain's mentor, it says here. So that's pretty cool. And then you have like 4 of these little gimps with him. And it's a bit weird because they're sort of not really tabletop characters in the most part. Let's have a look. I think one's like an astropath or something. But do you know what? I'm just going to quickly read through this then, just from here. So the newly promoted at Titus's express recommendation, despite his relative youth among veterans, is ancient Gadriel, who hefts the massive banner of the Second Company and can always be found in the thickest fighting alongside the captain's mentor, veteran Sergeant Matorus. Both have ample experience fighting alongside Titus, and he values their advice above all others. On the shorter side, Gaius Silva commands a vast fleet of ultramarine defence ships, and is an expert at handling the tensions between an overworked mortal crew and their often pitiless masters, making him an essential part of Titus's muster. Aemilia Minervus is a highly respected legatus in the Ultramar Defence Auxilia and serves as the command team's liaison to its legions of human soldiery. Lucia Vesta joins Titus's war councils as a valued plenipotentiary, and diplomat, whose keen negotiating skills have saved the Second Company from needless battle on countless occasions, while the sharp-tongued and forthright Dynal Cornelius is a veteran astropath who has survived for over 100 years in the Ultramarines' employ. So that's all quite cool to have these different ones. I'm not sure about actually that one there, where that really fits very well. But I think having like an astropath, so you've got an astropath, a diplomat, somebody high up in the guard, which is pretty cool. And then Gaius Silva, who does look a little bit like a Roman Caesar. He commands a vast fleet so he's like a fleet admiral. He's an astropath. She's a diplomat. She's high up in the guard. Cool. I like it. Cool models. I'm not a big fan of that model, but the rest I think are very good. It's just a bit weird. Are you gonna have them on the tabletop? Like, what role are they going to play on the battlefield? So probably just giving Titus loads of abilities, probably, and acting as ablative wounds for him. Pretty cool. You've got to use him as a bare head, because that is actually quite a good head sculpt, and he's got an iron halo. He doesn't need the helmet. He's a bit too generic with the helmet. Same with him. And there you have the model. Oh god, he looks not very happy. And then there's a new Necron as well, which some people might care about. I quite like the Necrons, but I don't think I'd ever buy a Necron army. And I don't know. It's alright. It's okay as a model. It's not the most inspired thing I've ever seen. And then have like a small battle force box. It's almost like a combat patrol type thing, isn't it? But it's a battalion, I think they're calling it now, with this new narrative of 500 worlds that I'm going to get onto in a minute. And then you have the Catan Shard of the Nightbringer, which is a very cool model. I'm not so sure about the scarabs coming off him, but apart from that, I think the model's great. And we've seen him before. So then we get onto the final thing, which is 500 Worlds Titus. And this is where I start having a bit of a problem. Captain Titus takes up arms in 500 Worlds Titus, the next major narrative expansion for Warhammer 40,000, presented as a set of 4 books enclosed in a decorative slipcase. 500 Worlds Titus tells the story of the Ultramarine reclamation and an embattled Vesperta front, where Titus and the Ultramarines' Second Company are locked in a desperate struggle against a Necron force rife with the Destroyer curse. Yeah, okay. So we've got this whole... At the end of an edition, we know we're at the end now. We're in sort of the last 6 months of 10th edition. They always come out with some books, some narrative, and some extra additional rules and things to just tie up. And it's one last thing that you can buy in this edition before they relaunch, and you have to buy all your codexes and stuff again. So let's find out a little bit what this is about, because this looks quite weird. It's all one set of 4 books. So what do? In addition to the headline book, packed with lore miniatures, photography and glorious new artwork, the 500 Worlds Titus set includes War on the Vesperta Front, a complete campaign system for Warhammer 40,000 that pits 3 alliances against each other in a bid to control territories and capture critical locations across a large campaign map included in the set. Odd. Also in the slipcase is Dread Incursions, a boarding action supplement with new missions and maps that can be played independently or as part of a Vesperta Front campaign, and a book of 6 new Warhammer 40,000 detachments for the Space Marines and Necrons. It's a lot to take in, and we can't wait to share more about these exciting books and miniatures with you. That'll have to wait for now, as there's still loads more Warhammer preview stuff, blah blah blah. Alright, there's a few things to say about this. Why would you base a whole part of the narrative in the Warhammer 40,000 universe essentially around one character? I mean, this is such a cynical, sort of exploitation of Space Marine 2, isn't it? Hey, you played Space Marine 2. Now, look, you can play Warhammer with the same character, and this is not an organic sort of development in the story of Warhammer 40,000. And further to that, we're talking about Ultramar. Yet again, it's all about the Ultramarines. It's all about like Macragge and Ultramar. We've done this hundreds of times. They launched 10th edition with saying it was the 4th Tyrannic War. And do you remember the launch trailer where it was Gilliman and he was watching sort of the lights go out in the 500 worlds of Ultramar as different worlds died, and the Tyrannic War was launched, and the Tyranid invasion hit. And then that's just nothing. Like, please buy the launch box, and then we're not going to mention it again. And then now we're back, and it's the Necrons, which we did, as I say, 9th edition. We did the Necrons, and we've had all the Pariah Nexus and all that. But now it's the Necrons fighting in Ultramar. What? Why? It's the same things again. Like the way they always go to Armageddon for some reason. This is supposed to be a massive galaxy with hundreds of Space Marine chapters and different factions and armies fighting all over the galaxy. And yet it always seems to be focused on places like Ultramar. There's about 3 places that Games Workshop have ever heard of or written about in their own lore. And they just come back here again and again. It's just, I don't understand it. And then, the weirdness of having like a whole campaign based around one character and him leading the fight against some Necrons. And then they've come out with a detachment, a book of detachments that are only for Space Marines and Necrons. So, okay, great. Well, what if you're a Tyranid player or a Tau player? So in the last 6 months of this edition, you're not going to get... Well, maybe you are. Maybe they will launch something else. Maybe they will launch more of these detachments books, but we don't know. There's nothing to say they will do that. So, as it stands, it's just going to be, if you play Necrons or Ultramarines, you're getting a load of new rules to use. Fuck everyone else. Really weird decision. So unless they're coming out with a lot more of these books in the next few months, and there'll be, World Eaters against Grey Knights or something, or Black Templars against Orcs or something like that, and you can do the same thing, there's a load of new detachments, then this just seems a very odd choice to me, and totally unbalanced, in the favour of like really one faction, maybe 2 if you count the Necrons. I don't know why they've done this. It's just, odd. And again, you know, the rules for, and they've packaged all this in the same. So you've got a campaign, you've got boarding action rules, and then you've just got detachments for only 2 factions in the game. I don't get it. You know, I just think it's this is such a weird product, strange product, and it's essentially, they've sat down and they've thought, how can we cash in on the success of Space Marine 2? How can we really cash in on it? Let's do all the models from the game, and let's just write a load of books featuring the models, the characters in the game, and that's what we'll do. And I hate this sort of thing because it's not organic story. I don't care what happens in the story in the lore of 40,000, Warhammer 40,000, but something should be happening. We can't keep going back to Ultramar to fight for Macragge again and again and again. Like, the story doesn't move on. Nothing ever happens. No one's going to die. No one's going to lose. You know, there'll be this whole huge campaign, and then it'll be a draw, and then we all go back, and then it'll be 11th edition. Oh, look, now buy these new models. So that's what I say about that. I mean, this was the big finale of the reveal stream, and obviously this will be the focus of the last sort of 6 months, the end of 10th edition, and it's just a bit of an odd choice, I think. If you remember, at the end of 9th edition, it was the Arcs of Omen book series, and what did that cover? It was a typical Games Workshop series, end of edition series, a bit like I think the Psychic Awakenings was the same, and you know, series like this where they come out with different books, and each book is set in a different area of space, a different conflict, and it's an excuse to come out with a new model. So it could be the new Jane Zar model, or you know, the new Angron or Vashtor introducing a new character, and then of course it all built up, and in the end, 3 years ago, it was the launch of the Lion coming back, and my God, the Lion, another Primarch, wow. You know, and then what's happened? Absolutely nothing has happened with him. So it was the Lion's back, he's beaten Angron up, read his novel, and then we're not going to mention him again for 3 years. He's not going to meet Gilliman. You're not going to hear about him. He's not going to do anything at all for the whole edition. And then guess what? At the end of the next edition, we're going to be back in Ultramar with Titus and Calgar. You know, bloody hell, and Gilliman. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about it? Do you have a problem with it? Or are you just happy? You know that I was going to say that they're pushing the narrative on, but they're not, are they? This is not really moving 40k forward as a story at all. I mean, I haven't read it. Maybe I'm being unfair. Tell me if I'm being unfair or whining too much about this, but it's just seems a really odd choice. Now, maybe I'll eat my words. If they come out with 4 of these big books, and the next one is, you know, Tau against Chaos Space Marines, and then there's another one, Tyranids against Votan or something, then I'll eat my words. But they better come out with all of them soon, though, because, as I say, you're going to get the last 6 months of this edition with Ultramarines and Necrons having 3 more detachments than anyone else. So weird. Anyway, so that was it. That was the reveal stream. That's my long 90-minute ramble about it. I'm sure nobody on earth stayed with me for the whole video, and I don't blame you. But yeah, I like making the videos. I like talking about Warhammer, and if you like listening to me doing that, then this is the channel for you. All 10 of you watch this video. But if you do like the video, press like, and if you want to subscribe and, you know, hear me whine and moan and drivel on about Warhammer until the day I die, then yeah, subscribe. If you don't, I won't take it personally. But yeah, anyway, that was the reveal stream. I think overall, I was pretty happy with what was shown off. There's some great things and a big variety of different armies, and there weren't really many sort of bad models or bad things shown off, but the whole technical thing, you know, to harp on about that again, the whole technical side of it entirely ruined the stream, and broke the flow of everything. Made it the whole thing a big damp squib. So sort it out, Games Workshop. But yeah, okay. So that's the video. I'm going to sign off now, and until the next one, take care.